Hello everyone, welcome back. And if you are new here, welcome. I'm very happy that you are here. I hope that you have a wonderful time watching me create some interesting art goodies. Okay, today I'm playing with the Art by Marlene January release, and I grabbed out the playing cards. First, I divided them up in their colors, and I'm shuffling them because that's what you do with cards. And I'm grabbing a random one from that shuffle. I'm going to create a little zigzag book or booklet, journal, tiny journal, whatever you want to call it. I knew that on the front page I definitely wanted the pink queen. I love the pink. It's beautiful. And initially I only chose 5 cards, but then I realized that my little booklet won't have a back cover because of the fold. So I just went into the cards again and just grabbed a random one again, and it was lucky number 7. I think. Maybe it was the 4. Anyway, it was lucky anyway. Okay, so I've put all the cards next to each other, and I just used a little bit of stencil tape, and I've just taped them all together. I do leave like a millimeter gap in between the cards just so they have space to bend. I'm sure that you have noticed that in the video. Next up, I'm going in with some black and white collage paper from Marlene, and I am just gluing them down with some gel medium. I'm being intentional about gluing them over the strips of stencil tape that I've got there, because I just want to reinforce that and make sure that that tape's not going to come off. So I'm not covering the whole thing, but I am trying to at least have one or section or 2 sections covered with that collage paper. And now I'm giving everything a little dry, and I'm just trimming off the excess. I like to trim as I go because then I have a good idea of where my canvas starts and where it ends. So the idea for me is I wanted to make this little book for its pages to work together as a whole, but also as separate pages. So in the end, I ended up with 3, I guess you could call it double page spreads. They work apart, but they also work together. So I'm putting the same color all throughout the strip. So I went in with Happy, Ballet, this is Mermaid. I'll go in with a little bit of Hot Curry as well. And I'm just making sure that each of my cards have at least a tiny little bit of those paints on, or more or less. I'm not being very particular. If I don't have, like on that last card, there's no blue, but it doesn't matter as long as it still has the other colors. So I'm quite happy with that. Now going in with red. I'm trying very hard to make friends with red now that orange and I have become such good pals. And I'm just adding a tiny bit with my finger over the orange and pink strips, and I'm using that strips stencil, getting tongue-tied, to do just a little bit of reductive stenciling. I felt that those 2 colors had quite a distinct line between them, so going over the top with this technique just make sure that they look a little bit more blended together. And then I went in with a little bit of red mark making as well, just to get used to the idea of having red on a page. Red is a very bold color, and I think that's put me off in the past. I've done pages before with red, and I didn't like it, and I think it was just the boldness of it. I'm going in with Punk as well, which is Marlene's neon purple paint, and I'm also with that strips stencil, but I've used a different little strip and I'm doing that same reductive stenciling. And now I'm going in with Glow, that is the neon green, and I think the orange is called Boom, the neon orange, and I'm just boosting those colors a little bit just to brighten them up. You would have seen me turning the whole set around. I was checking for overspill, and there was a little bit, but thanks to Marlene's absolute brilliance with these cards, she's made the front of the card glossy. So whatever comes through on the back or the front of the card or the back of the project that you're making, you can just wipe up with a wet wipe. So there was a tiny little bit of a spill, and I just wiped it up. Now to try and tie everything together and bring in a little bit of more brightness and lightness and white space, I'm going in with the playing card stencil, and I'm just choosing little sections here and there to pop all over, making sure that each one of my separate cards have a little bit of white space, just to calm things down, add another layer. I'm going in with black as well, with black gesso, and I've actually turned my sponge the other way around, so I'm working with that thin end, and I'm just using this little tiny number strip to add some blackness and contrast. I love having numbers on my pages. I always think it looks a little bit like graffiti. It looks a little bit grungy. It just makes me so happy to add numbers on my stencils, on my pages, and I really like doing that in black. And you'll see how alive that journal is looking now with just the tiniest bit of black. It's not a lot, but it is enough to pull things together, to add a little bit of contrast. I was really happy with that. Okay, I went into my Paper Elements books. I first tried the new one with the large elements, but everything was too big, so I went back to the older one, the golden oldie one, and I found these 3 faces, and now I'm just going to make some dresses for them using the leftover bits of collage paper. I really like that section with the eye on, so I decided that that would also be a dress. Now, I'm not looking for realistic looking dresses or anything. They're really just like cone shapes. It's absolutely fine. I'm not going to do hands or feet or anything like that. They'll be grounded right to the bottom of the page. Okay, now that I've got them on, I see that the dresses are a little bit too wide and it's taking quite a lot of my background away. So I've just trimmed each of them before I stick them down, just to make them a little bit thinner and so I don't hide all of my background. So I know at the minute they are looking really odd because they don't have hair, but I'm going to give them hair after I've trimmed off the excess bits. But first, I'm going to put a little card symbol on each one of them. So I had the clover clubs. Can you tell I don't play poker? And a diamond and a heart. So each one has a separate one. I wanted to stick to the card theme for this little journal because I'd used the cards. And now I'm just going to work on the hair. So I'm using browns and blacks and whites, and I'm just drawing lines and lines and lines upon each other until I have something that I'm fairly happy with. This girl is getting a bit of a bob cut, spiky bob, I think is what you'd call it. Well, that's what I call it. And again, I'm just adding definition and highlights and lowlights into that hair. The last girl is getting an afro. I don't think I did very well with it. I think the shape is definitely off. I don't know what I was thinking. I clearly wasn't thinking. But anyway, she turned out okay in the end. Darkening it up, and I'm doing little fronds that's like I guess, wisps that's sticking out. And I'm just going to go around all of my girls with a thin black paint pen and just defining those bodies. Little highlights on each of those little symbols. And I'm just going in with my coloring pencils. And all I'm doing here is brightening up what is already there. So Marlene has already done the shading and the coloring, and these girls are really, really beautiful. But because my background is so vibrant, I really wanted to just boost the colors on my girls. And I'm also adding a little bit of shadowing under the heads and under the little symbol. And then later on, I will go in with my Stabilo All pencil. And I'm just going on the left of each girl and watering that down, just so it's a little bit of a subtle shadow to pop those girls out from the background. It really does make such a difference when you add a little bit of shadowing. If you do not have the Stabilo All pencil, you can water down a little bit of black acrylic paint or black ink, and while that's still wet, you'll still have quite a bit of control as to how much you're putting on there. Okay, their heads definitely needed a little something. I was particularly looking for the girl with the afro, but then I ended up finding a crown as well that looked like a Joker crown, so I thought that would suit the theme perfectly. A little bit of faffing about to see what I'll do with the center one, but because she was so high up, it didn't really look right whenever I put a crown or something on her head. So in the end, she's just going to get some white pearly dots in her hair, while the other two gets a crown and a beautiful bow to hide that messy afro. Again, just boosting up the colors on those elements and adding the little dots. And I did go off screen for a minute to find quotes to pop onto my pages, so you'll see them magically appear. It did take a while to find the right quote. Okay, quotes are in, and I'm just going around them with a gel pen, and you can see how those are now 3 double page spreads. My journal felt a little bit bare. If I made this again, I will add a little bit of ribbon behind the stencil tape or a border of some sort. I'll figure it out. I'll definitely make another one and try again and do something with the edges so it's not so bare. But then I decided maybe I should put a little tab on the side. So I grabbed out some of Marlene's collage sheets, the thicker one that's more like a board with stripes, and I punched out a tab, but I don't know if I should put it on. So you can see me faffing about. Why don't you let me know in the comments if I should put this tag onto the outside, the front cover, or not. I've got it clipped on there with a paper clip right now, and then once you guys give me your take, what you would have done, I'm going to stick it down or not. Let me know what you think. Do I need a tab? Do I not need a tab? And then once the decision has been made, I will put it on my Facebook page and you can go and have a look at the final product. But there you go. There it's on. I chose colors that match the background. And then it's off. Don't know what to do. Please let me know what you think. Thank you for being here. Remember to subscribe. I will chat to you again very soon. Bye.